A software engineer in Austin just hit $200,000 a year. On paper, that's life-changing money. But here's her actual monthly reality. $2,800 goes to a luxury apartment in the right neighborhood. Another $7,000 gets eaten by her 2 kids' private school tuition. Her car lease is $575. Her Peloton, therapy app, and wellness subscriptions add up to another $400. Before she buys a single grocery item or pays utilities, she's already spent $10,775 of her $11,000 monthly take-home. She's making $200,000 a year and living like someone making $40,000. This isn't bad budgeting, this is by design. The question isn't how to manage this. The question is why $200K feels like nothing anymore. There's a trap that nobody talks about, and it's getting worse every year. It's called prestige inflation. It's not regular inflation, where everything costs more. This is different. These are costs that scale with your income, not with actual necessity. The more you make, the more these specific categories demand from you, and they're non-negotiable in the way that matters. Let's start with housing, because it's the biggest one. A nice 1-bedroom apartment in Austin runs about $1,200 to $1,400 if you're in the regular neighborhoods. That same apartment in the prestige area, the one where the tech companies cluster, where the right people live, where clients won't judge you, that's $2,500 to $3,200. Same city, same square footage, 40 to 50% more expensive just for the zip code. You're paying for the neighborhood name, not the apartment. But here's what makes it non-negotiable. Where you live isn't just about comfort, it determines job access. Landlords in those neighborhoods hire from there. Clients meet you there. Dating pools are there. The network effect is real. You feel like you can't afford not to live there, even though mathematically you're spending 1/5 of your income on location premium. And the psychology makes it worse. When you hit $200, something shifts in your brain. You think you've made it. You've arrived. The spending should follow, not the actual numbers, but the status. You feel like you're supposed to live this way now. Everyone around you is. Your colleagues live there, your boss lives there, so you do too, and the trap closes quietly. This is just housing. This is the foundation of prestige inflation, but it's not where the money stops flowing. Once you commit to the neighborhood, to the lifestyle signaling, the rest cascades. The car you drive starts mattering differently. The school your kids go to becomes non-negotiable. The restaurants you're seen in, the vacation you take. Every single category gets pulled upward because you're already in the prestige game. But here's where it gets really dangerous. Now, let's talk about the one cost that breaks families faster than anything else: private school tuition. In major cities, elite private school runs $70,000 to $75,000 per year. That's Avenues, Collegiate, the names that matter in New York. Nationally, the average for private K-12 is somewhere between $9,210 and $16,420. But that's averaging rural schools with suburban schools with everything in between. In major metros, that number explodes. You're looking at $20,000 to $26,000 or minimum for anything decent in a city like New York or Chicago. Here's the narrative parents tell themselves. It's an investment in the future. Your kid gets into better colleges, better network, better outcomes. The math that justifies this is powerful because the emotional stakes are your child's entire life, and so families pay it. But let's actually look at the investment claim. Public school is free. Elite public school in New York, the specialized schools like Stuyvesant or Bronx Science, is also free. You get in through the SHSAT exam, no tuition, your kid gets a real education there. But the prestige narrative says private is better. It's smaller classes, it's the right names, so you pay $70,000 instead of nothing. That's not even the full picture, though. Private school tuition is just the foundation. On top of that sits tutoring. In Manhattan, Elite tutors charge $250 to $1,000 per hour. Families don't do 1 hour a week either. They do 20, 30, sometimes 40 hours a year of tutoring. Do the math. That's $6,000 to $15,000 annually on top of tuition. You've now got a child in private school costing $80,000 to $90,000 per year when you add tutoring on top. Now multiply that by 2 kids. You're at $160,000 to $180,000 per year just for education. A $200K earner gross, that's before taxes, is now spending 80 to 90% of their entire gross income on housing and education alone, before food, before utilities, before anything else exists. And this is where you see the trap work. Most $200K earners in these cities have 2 kids. The first one goes to private school and you think it's manageable. The second one arrives and suddenly you realize you're completely trapped. You can't go back to public school now because of the narrative you've already accepted. Your kid's future is at stake. So you pay, you liquidate savings, you go into debt. The system knows this and prices accordingly. The tutoring part is what really seals it. Because once your kid is in private school, tutoring becomes non-optional. The school moves fast, the competition is fierce. Every other parent is hiring tutors. If you don't, your kid falls behind, so you hire them. You pay the $250 to $1,000 hourly rate because your kid's future depends on it. And then there's the car. This is where the prestige trap gets almost absurd in how it's engineered. A Tesla lease in 2026 runs you about $450 to $575 per month. A BMW lease is similar. When you're making $200, that feels reasonable. That feels manageable. Especially compared to buying, which would run you $650 or more per month in payments. But here's the trap nobody acknowledges. A lease is a perpetual payment. You're never building equity. You're never paying off a debt. After 5 years of leasing, you've paid $30,000 or more and you own nothing. The car gets returned and you get a new one. Now you're on a treadmill and you can't get off. The alternative is sitting right there. A used Toyota, paid in cash, costs you $15,000. After you buy it, your car payment is $0 every month for the next 8 to 10 years. But here's where the psychology wins. You can't drive a used Toyota when you're a $200 earner in the prestige neighborhood. That signals failure. It signals you can't afford the upgrade. Your peers notice, clients notice. So you lease instead, and you pay $30,000 over 5 years for the privilege of looking successful while actually destroying your wealth position. On top of the car, the subscriptions start stacking. Luxury fitness runs $300 a month. A concierge service, another $200. Some kind of premium travel club, another $500. These feel like small costs individually. But together with housing, education, and the car lease, you're now committed to spending $120,000 to $150,000 per year just on maintaining the prestige appearance. That's the entire trap laid bare. So let's actually do the math on what's happening here. You're making $200,000 gross? That sounds like freedom. That sounds like security. But here's what it actually is, month to month. $200,000 gross breaks down to roughly $12,500 to $16,700 per month before taxes. Then the government takes their cut. Federal plus state taxes on a $200K salary in a high-cost metro, we're talking 30 to 40%. That leaves you with about $7,500 to $11,000 in actual take-home pay each month. That's your real number. That's what hits your bank account. Now let's spend it. Prestige housing, $2,500 to $3,200 per month. That's a third to 40% of your take-home right there. Private school for one child, amortized across the year, $6,000 to $7,500 per month. That's eating 60 to 80% of what's left. Add a second kid, and you're already over 100%. The car lease plus insurance, another $600 to $800. The fitness subscriptions, the dining, the travel costs, the general prestige lifestyle maintenance, $1,500 to $2,000. Added up, $10,600 to $13,500 per month in prestige spending. Your take-home is $7,500 to $11,000. You're spending 142 to 180% of your actual income just on the appearance of success. The deficit gets covered somehow. Some people go into debt, credit cards maxed out. Some people liquidate savings. They raid their investment accounts. Some people pretend the numbers are different and just survive in financial stress. But they're all trapped in the same mechanism. And here's the thing that should terrify you. This isn't just happening to one person. 40% of people earning $500,000 per year report living paycheck to paycheck. Not because they don't make enough money, because they're locked into prestige inflation. The system has engineered a situation where your income becomes irrelevant to your actual wealth-building capacity. Now contrast that with someone else making $200 but living differently. They rent a normal apartment for $1,200 a month. They send their kids to public school. They drive a used car they bought for cash. Their total lifestyle spending is about $4,500 per month. That leaves them with $3,000 to $6,500 every single month to actually save and invest. Over a year, that's $36,000 to $78,000 in real money building wealth. Over 10 years, they've got $1 million or more in assets. The prestige inflation builder, they've got zero assets and debt. The gap is $1 million versus nothing. Same income, different choices, different outcomes. This is where the narrative shifts. Once you see the trap, you understand something fundamental. The most powerful status symbol is not needing status symbols at all. Secure high status means you don't need to display it. A billionaire in a worn-out t-shirt doesn't feel insecure about it. A person climbing the status ladder can't afford that. But once you've actually achieved income security, the entire game changes. Stealth wealth in 2026 looks like older, reliable cars, modest neighborhoods, unbranded quality clothing, off-peak travel. It looks like choosing what you keep over what you display. The real wealth signal isn't what you spend, it's what you don't spend. But there's a practical move that multiplies this. Tier 2 cities, Austin, Denver, Nashville, where $200 goes 2 to 3 times further. Austin luxury apartments run $1,400 to $1,600, effectively $1,200 to $1,300 with concessions. Private school runs $14,000 to $16,000 per year. Moving from New York to Austin saves you $40,000 to $60,000 annually on housing and education alone. That's $100,000 plus per year in actual savings. Compounded over 30 years, that's $2 million to $4.5 million in additional wealth. The catch is real, though. It requires rejecting the prestige narrative entirely. Rebuilding your identity around actual wealth, not status. Most people won't do it because the social cost feels higher than the financial cost. $200 is only the new $50 if you accept the trap. Subscribe for the next video on building wealth while staying in high-cost metros. The hybrid approach exists.